Dirt music, funded by Film 4 and Western Australian Film. Opening scene, we're on a beach. Kenny MacDonald, the star of the film, is at the water's edge. There's a dog there. She approaches the dog. He then runs off. Then she removes her clothes and dives in the water. We then see her at home with her 2 kids. And then she's taking a nap and she's contacted by one assumes her husband, who's got a fishing business, and he alerts her to the fact that he's got a good catch. He arrives with his catch, he's there, and then what follows is a piss up to celebrate the catch. Typical Aussie piss up. At the end of the night, he's drunk. Reckons he's taken 70, possibly 80,000 Aussie dollars. Seems pleased that he's responded to the talkers, as he put it. Reading between the lines, saying he wasn't up to the task to deliver these catches. And also a reference to them talking about his girlfriend, not his wife. Another dawn swim, another meet with the dog, and then she comes across a bloke in his boat, probably trapped. She's starkers, of course, but we'll see. She takes off in a car, packs her stuff, and then a bit further up the track, the car packs up on her. Not quite sure what's wrong with it. She's stuck out in the middle of nowhere. The guy she met earlier in the boat takes the road and stops. She ends up getting in the car. But it's not a car, it's a ute, really. Interesting tit for tat discussion about risk and location. Jim Buckridge is the boyfriend that's shared in the ute after a discussion about reading books, classics, Steinbeck, Conrad, Hemingway. They're heading for Perth. The movie's described the stunning landscape of Western Australia as the backdrop for an impassioned tale of love and grief in Gregor Jordan's adaptation of the acclaimed novel by Tim Winton, directed by Gregor Jordan, starring Kenny MacDonald, Garrett Hedlund and David Wenham. The inevitable happens when they arrive in Perth. She gets a room and they end up shagging. Lou returns to his batch, leaving Kelly in the city. There, other than the sex, there's not exactly a riveting match full of conversation. Lou's very reticent, quiet, dwelling on the past, grief, family, details unknown. With the help of Winwood's Can't Find My Way Home, sang on acoustic guitar by Lou as a younger man, we view his past with his young family, young wife and young daughter. Georgie then returns after a few days break, and Jim is preparing some sort of food, and the atmosphere you can cut with a knife as she enters the kitchen area. Georgie seeks out Luke at his place. They go to a white sandy beach, reminisce, recollect. Are both lost souls, not sure where life's taking them. Jim has a casualty on board aboard the trailer, asks for some assistance from Georgie, but once the guy is delivered to hospital, they then have the first of what one might sense is the first of a set two. She pointing out she's a nurse, him pointing out that they have separate lives. The deep divide between them. There appears to be another story, competition for the crayfish. Lou finds his dog shot on the beach. He previously described how his family chopped and changed in search of the Aussie dollar in terms of doing a business, dipped into music, dipped into this and that, now doing this, crayfish. Clearly he's probably poaching from Jim's catch. Georgie on the beach finds the dead dog in the car, so she knows what's going on. Georgie and Jim, second confrontation. He's aware of her fling. He's also aware of her indifference to him. Little Georgie, next heart to heart, she's talking about how she stumbled into her relationship with Jim and his family after his wife passed on. Lou describing the grief of losing his family. The grief ratchets up a few notches. Georgie's brother's dead, and Lou's memory of losing his family becomes more and more vivid in flashback. We then see we're at a wake. Georgie reunites with her family. Her father's brought his new wife to his ex-wife's funeral, and they're down too well. Post-wake, Georgie's goes back to Lou's place. He's not there. He's on the road, hitching somewhere. We capture a live band, and it appears that Melon, or Lou, maybe a brother, plays in the band with his girl. And Jim is in the audience, sipping the reenactment of the accident whilst drunk following the gig. The movie's called Dirt Music, and we then have a scene where Georgie is at Lou's place, puts on some music which is clearly family composition, and she imagines them there playing for her. Jim tracks Georgie down at Lou's place, and they have a heart-to-heart about how it all began, what they were both looking for. Her ready-made family, him, a woman to fill the loss of the mother to his kids, and now the possibility of losing her as well. Lou's got this plan to retreat to an island complete solitary confinement, taken there by this guy in a plane. We get the reenactment of the moment when he finds his wife and girlfriend and brother, I think, dead on the island with the Aborigine and the other elder. The Aborigine kid gives Lou his red boat, saying he probably needs it more than I do, but he doesn't know where he's going. This probably sums up most people's lives. They don't know where they're going. Georgie tells Jim that she's determined to seek out Lou, even though she has no idea where he is. This phase of the movie is really dragging. He's sort of becoming acclimatised to being on his own and surviving through fishing and looking out from after climbing a small stone cliff, and she's burrowing away at where he used to live, looking at his artifacts and looking all sort of desperate, but other than that, nothing's happening. Lou has the inevitable accident with a fishing hook. Georgie, with now the assistance of Jim, sets out on an expedition to track him down. Jim sheds some more detail on that eventful night when Lou's family, or specifically the daughter, died in the RTA as a result of avoiding colliding with Jim's vehicle. They did a runner to escape any law impinging on them. The locations are certainly splendid, panoramic, desolate, remote, untouched. Georgie minus Jim, who she's basically instructed not to follow. They go in search of Lou, island by island. It has 2,000 in total. Lou, with his bad foot, manages to relaunch the canoe and jump in, grueling pain. Having heard the speedboat yesterday, or the day before, I guess he's working on the assumption that that area they would move on from, and he needs to move into a different area. It's getting a little bit beyond belief now, as he appears to never be drinking any water, not eating any food, going from beach to beach. Not quite sure in what direction. So, last swim around the bay, about to leave the island, and of course he's spotted, and it's happy ever after. King Richard 2021 movie starring Will Smith as Richard Williams. It's a dramatised biopic about the two Williams sisters, Serena and Venus Williams, as teenagers, and how their father coached them, controlled them, and brought them to the top of the tennis tree. We see early scene where some young African American youths are showing an interest in Venus, who's 16 years of age at the time, and her father intervenes as a controlling father, but more importantly, he doesn't want his daughter to get messed about by these youths. He tries to impose some control, and he gets a minor beating from this group. Then he returns to the minibus where the girls are waiting and describes his youth, the beatings he got from the police, from the Ku Klux Klan, from other youth gangs, and then lectures on the fact that he's going to assist in getting a level of respect for them. That's his goal, to achieve respect for the girls. It's quite an impactful. Just a quick word about the soundtrack. Predictably, it's superb, and so far there's been Mayfield's Move On Up, not by Mayfield, but and then I Shall Be Released, and then the girls repeating the words to the greatest love of them all, the Whitney Houston. Richard's efforts to find a coach who's prepared to put the work in for nothing virtually. We see a number of people dampen his enthusiasm and his expectation or belief that his daughters will become superstars. And we also walk side by side with the faith that the family have, the religious faith, and if half of it is true, that it just shows what an enormous achievement this man did with his two girls. After another beating, Richard goes off in the VW van, heads down to the African American slum area, and witnesses a drive-by shooting outside a mini-mart. Chilling is how we describe it. He was about to go into the store, probably came within seconds of being caught in the crossfire. He turns around and walks slowly back, with the likely arrival of the police shortly. Richard's persistence enables the girls to get some time hitting balls in front of Paul Cohen, who at the time was the coach for Pete Sampras. They impress, and the coach agrees to take on one, Venus, pro bono. We see difficulties emerging between Coach and Richard over Venus's stance. At the same time as Venus is getting this one by one, mother is at a separate court, putting Serena through her paces to maintain her level and not get left behind, pushing self-confidence, which I found interesting. Richard's portrayal is of a parent who's got an unlimited amount of belief, which he's driving into his daughter, it's like a sort of torrent of confidence building, which is quite awesome. Once Venus gets in the junior events, she starts to win, and she's winning all the time. You sense the elite, white, rich families with their proteges getting more and more irritated by this young black girl who's taking them all to the cleaners, and they even try, and a bit of cheating falls out when it's not out, and temperamental when they miss shots, and certainly there's that racist feeling, although not seen probably by most people watching this film, but I can see it. Richard takes the girls out for some practice in the rain, and when they come back, the police are there. They've had an anonymous call about the allegation about ill treatment by the parents towards the children in the household, and that just provokes Richard into a tirade about behaviour management, about good parenting, about protecting them from the outside elements, and Smith is brilliant. After the early successes for Venus on the I can't remember the name of the juniors, Richard decides to walk away from the coach after an unsatisfactory meeting where he can see the writings on the wall in terms of the girls losing their individuality, being sucked into some corporation. So he goes with this other guy, and Rick, his name, can't remember his other name. And it's a very interesting sort of contract agreement or chat. Rick Macy's academy in Florida. So the Williams family drive across country from Compton in LA to Florida, and when they arrive there's a fair bit of name dropping. One that's mentioned is one Andy Roddick. The movie's capturing the tension and excitement, the coach's belief that Venus is ready for competitive matches. Her father believes that he wants her to enjoy the fruits of being a young teenager and not quickly get caught up in this sort of roller coaster of money making and business. And Venus, of course, with her increasing self-confidence, wanting to test herself against the other famous names that are being thrown around in the juniors. We've got Kournikova, Seles mentioned, and others. It's fascinating. We get to hear the newsreel about Capriati and drugs. Previously, earlier in the movie, she was being lauded as the teenage sensation, and the coaches wanting the same path to be trodden by Venus. Now it's all coming back, and Richard's fears being well highlighted as being right on the button. So Venus gets her wish to play in this tournament, professional tournament, after having not played competitively in the juniors for 3 years, and then on the eve of the match, a businessman comes in and offers a contract worth $3 million to Venus and the family. After some huffing and puffing, she turns it down. It's not the money, it's the competition that she wants to prove how good she is. So Venus, after a shaky start, wins her first round match, and she's up against the number 1 seed, Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, and then the second. The offer is increased, but still they don't bite. And then we have a rather emotional scene where Serena, who's in her sister's shadow, looks up at the stands, empty stands on the court, and her father comes down and says that her sister's going to be number 1, but you're going to be the GOAT. Fantastic. A summary of King Richard, released in 2021. This movie was directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green. The screenplay was written by Zach Bailey, and the cast members in the lead role is Will Smith, who plays Richard Williams. Anjani Ellis plays Oracene Williams, Richard's wife. Sania Sidney plays Venus Williams, of course, the daughter. And Demi Singleton plays Serena Williams. Then 2 coaches involved in the girls' tennis career. Firstly, Tony Goldwyn plays Paul Cohen, and then he's replaced by Rick Macy, who's portrayed by John Bernthal. There are a few other sundries. So this is a sort of dramatic biography of the life of the Williams family, and in particular the rising tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams. And the film focuses on the early progress of particularly Venus Williams in her development as a teenager to become a professional. The focus is very much on how the father, Richard Williams, protects the girls from the usual paparazzi and the drive by the industry to get the girls playing for the benefit of business. And it's a very intriguing drama that's brilliantly played out by Will Smith, and this is an audio review of the plot.